Here's the challenge. Dollar figures get old fast. Markets move. Regions differ. Job ads change. So instead of locking in numbers that age next month, this video gives you a method to estimate pay anywhere, anytime, without guessing. Certified Energy Auditor salaries. How to estimate your pay. We're going to compare two common paths in commercial industrial energy auditing. The Certified Energy Auditor path by the Association of Energy Engineers, AEE, and which is a respected introductory credential from a pioneer that's built recognition from the field. And secondly, we're going to also look at the IGEA, the Investment Grade Energy Auditor by the Sustainability Education Academy, which is STEMI, which is a more in-depth assessment-rich program with a live interview and review project. The IGA applies evidence, but is not expert level by itself. Expertise still comes from projects and time. And we're going to explore, we're going to post current dollar snapshots by region in the description or in the pinned comments below this video, so the numbers stay up to date and the video remains evergreen. Hello, I'm Bruce Rouse from the Sustainability Education Academy. So let's start by looking at the Association of Energy Engineers pioneer role and give you a quick orientation. The Association of Energy Engineers has helped build the energy efficiency profession globally. Programs like the Certified Energy Auditor and Certified Energy Manager have created recognition and a common language. Many employers in the countries where this is recognised ask for them by name. The CEA in many countries is a strong introductory checkpoint for recognition. Now, the IGEA, the Investment Grade Energy Auditor certification, differs by requiring more content in the training, and it's got more staged assessments, a 1-hour live interview, and a review project. It aims to help you show your work, demonstrate your competency, but it's still a step, not an endpoint. So now let's look at how to frame the salaries. Firstly, you have to remember that an energy audit does not save energy by itself. It shows you how to save energy or your clients how to save energy. Savings come from implementation. Projects that actually get built and then the savings are verified. Now, that is actually, in the longer term, the single biggest driver of compensation. I know energy auditors who've had a certification, but they go from job to job to job to job and always at a low level because they don't have those projects. They can't actually get those projects implemented. So if you're really serious about being well compensated as an energy auditor, you need to ensure that your advice is acted on and you build up a portfolio of implemented projects. So professionals who can turn audits into implemented results can usually command higher compensation than those who've only ever delivered a report. Really important. So now let's give you an evergreen method that's valid today and will be valid in 10 years' time or 20 years' time. It was valid 10 years ago for determining the salary of an energy auditor. Now, basically, we're going to estimate salary as a multiple of a local baseline role that's much more common. We're not going to use fixed dollar amounts. So step one is to pick a local baseline, and probably the best baseline is to use the median compensation for local building services, mechanical electrical projects, MEP, engineer, mechanical engineer, with the same experience band that you have. So whether that's kind of graduate, mid-career, or late, few years experience, mid-career, or even towards the end of your career. Avoid baselines that skew high. For example, mining engineering roles tend to skew higher, or maybe software engineers do. And also don't mix it with residential energy auditor roles, unless that's you. So let's just talk about these roles or these lanes. So we have the residential home energy auditor lane, which is not the core lane from the CEA program or the IGEA program. So in the residential lane, if you're junior or an associate level, you can probably expect to be paid about 0.6 to 0.8 times the baseline that we've just mentioned, mechanical, electrical, building services engineer. Mid-level for residential home energy auditor is probably about 0.75 to 0.95 times that baseline case. And senior would be about 0.9 to 1.05 times. A lead, which is rare in residential, would be actually 1 to 1.15 times So why are these lower? Well, there's a smaller scope, lower risk and revenue per project, and fewer complex demands. Now, for a commercial or industrial energy auditor, which is the Certified Energy Auditor, CEA, or the Investment Grade Energy Auditor, CEA lane, junior, if you're assisting or supervising, maybe 0.9, maybe 1, 0.8, I'd say 0.8 to 1 is a baseline. For an auditor, and that's compared with a junior MEP engineer, for auditor, you're probably looking about 0.95 to 1.15, which is CEA aligned. For a senior auditor, leading audits, I'd say 1.05 to 1.3 times. And for a lead or principal auditor or portfolio owner, 1.2 to 1.55 times. And a manager or practice lead, so this involves managing a team plus sales plus taking on risk, would we say 1.3 to 1.7 times. So you need to note that the upper end of these bands assumes high cost cities where you're employed, complex sectors, hospitals, pharmaceuticals, heavy industries, and commercial responsibilities, proposal leadership, stewardship of margins, client retention. And in standard roles, you'd expect to sit closer to the midpoints. So you can also adjust some small evidence-based adjustments to those salary bands. So you have the CEA, Certified Energy Auditor, recognition, perhaps plus 0 to plus 3%. And again, these are very rough. If you have the investment grade energy auditor and you've got the evidence to prove it, interview, and you've got interviewed project, plus perhaps 0 to perhaps plus 8%, it being a more robust certification than the CEA. You've got a documented implementation records of projects that have actually happened, and you've got the savings, and you've documented the lessons learned, built and verified. Well, probably then you're going to go from plus about 5 to maybe up to 15% higher than those bands I've just mentioned. And if you're in a high-cost city, the premium might be plus 10 to 30%. If it's in a special sector that's highly complex or regulated, maybe plus 5 to 15%. And if you're in a leadership or profit and loss responsibility or sales targets role, maybe plus 10 to 20%. If there's scarcity, you've got to get special clearances or there's a lot of travel involved, perhaps plus 0 to 10%. And then if there's variables or bonuses involved, such as an energy services contractor or sales bonuses or delivery bonuses, plus 5 to 15% might be the target. So now that you've got this basic framework, your next step to be really kind of certain of what salary that you should be asking for would be to cross-check against live job ads. So try to open 5 to 10 recent postings in your region, and if you're not in the residential or home role, exclude that. And again, look for energy auditor roles, but they may be scarce, so then look at the building services type roles, mechanical, electrical engineers associated with building services. Align your estimate with current market language and scopes. And then a fifth step would be to sanity check with your peers. Ask 2 people that you trust who work in the industry, given my scope and my results, does my proposed salary match what you see? So what will actually move your pay up? Well, as I've said to, an implementation record is probably the big one, the most important one. If you've got a track record of built measures with defensible numbers and lessons learned, that should really be able to move your pay up. If you've had a scope where you've been responsible for the scope and the ownership role, you've led audits, and you've shepherded them into implementer projects, and you've handled stakeholders and handoffs, that will also clearly help a lot. If you can show that you have communication that lands, if you can have clear one-page summaries, if you can present well, and you have numbers that decision makers trust, that will certainly help. Another element is your breadth and focus of your knowledge. HVAC, lighting, controls, tariffs. Can you be reliably strong in a few high-impact areas? It's almost impossible to be an expert across everything, but if you can choose a few high-impact areas, that will certainly benefit you. And then risk awareness, I think, is underrated. You need to be able to demonstrate that you can exert judgment around the costs, that you're not a person who habitually overestimates savings, perhaps by a factor of 2 or 3, or underestimates costs, again by similar factors. You're a person where your judgment, the estimates that you've put in your energy audit in terms of cost and benefit, are actually proven in reality, where you're aware of risks around comfort being lost, around uptime and downtime risks, around safety, and also your ability to explain trade-offs plainly. So let's look at this certified energy auditor versus the investment grade energy auditor, IGEA, salary relevant differences. So the CEA from the Association of Energy Engineers, AEE, is recognised, but not all parts of the world, I must emphasise. It's often listed in job ads in some regions, and it can be strong for screening and recognition of broad knowledge via the proctored exam that you do as part of that training. The IGEA Investment Grade Energy Auditor certification by the Sustainability Education Academy, SUSTEMI, emphasises applied evidence. You have to do quizzes and then you get feedback on those quizzes. You've got to do a stack of quizzes. You have to do more quizzes than you do in the entire exam for the CEA. You have to do the live interview process, and you've got that fully reviewed energy audit project that you have to submit. You produce a work sample that you can actually show, and you show, hey, here's an energy audit that I've done. So in balance, the CEA is more of an introductory level course. The IGEA is more advanced, but I need to emphasize that it's not expert. Both the steps, expertise comes from doing many projects and time and getting that track record of implementation. So here's some career path examples. If you're a new graduate, path A, you could do the CEA or IGA and then become an auditor. After 1 to 2 years of experience, you can assist on audits, gather data, draft sections. In your third or fourth year, you'll earn the CEA or IGA, and you can run small audits end to end and begin an implementation portfolio. In year 5 plus, you should be targeting senior roles by showing 2 to 3 built projects with verified results, ideally more than that, actually. Path B is if you're coming from a trades background, a mechanical or electrical trades background, you can do the IGEA, which doesn't have those prerequisites that the CEA has. So you could have be a senior trades pro background with some projects, quite a few projects under your belt. In the first couple of years, you might complete the IGEA, build a practical project portfolio via retrofits that you know well. In years 3 to 4, you can start to lead audits that translate to builds, and you can start to develop skills in measurement and verification separately. In year 5, you could be delivering multi-site programs, documenting results, developing mini case studies. A third path, path C, would be if you're already an experienced engineer. In the year 1, you could earn the CEA for recognition and complete the IGEA to create a reviewed work sample. In years 2 to 3, you'll have your own client relationships, tie audits to budgets and timelines. By year 4 and on, you're leading teams, shaping standards, and where appropriate, tying some of your compensation through to outcomes. So how do you negotiate an appropriate salary? So firstly, I'd say you have to bring proof, not adjectives. Bring proof, have a on page. This is what I did. Have a summary per project. The site you did, the measures implemented, the cost, the savings, the co-benefits, the status of the projects. How to translate to business value in terms of maintenance savings achieved, uptime improved, emissions targets achieved. Perhaps ask for a structured pay package, not just a base. Maybe you could ask for variable pay tied to delivered results or the amount of work that you can help book. Benchmark respectively. Reference the bench lines that I've referenced earlier in this video. You can say, I use the engineer baseline times the role level times the adjustments. Does that fit your band? Also know that when that growth beats cash. So the right projects and mentors taking a less of a salary now can lift your long-term earnings more than just having a short-term bump. So let's explore some common myths. Firstly, myth 1 is that a certification guarantees a big salary. No, definitely not. It opens doors, but results open the rest. Secondly, big myth is an energy audit equals savings. Definitely not. Implementation of the advice in the audit creates savings. If you can document delivery, that will move your salary band up. Third myth is only one credential matters. Markets value different signals. The CEA aids in recognition. The IGEA adds evidence of competence. Many markets may value both. So how to use this course with live numbers? Below the video, we have a description of pinned comment for live salary snapshots by region, and they've got the date on them. Now, they will age with time, but they'll give you a bit of an indication. So I've got some engineer baselines and some typical auditor bands. Secondly is pick your baseline. Apply the lane and the adjusters that we talked about recently. The lane being, is it residential or is it commercial industrial? Fourthly, as I just mentioned, cross-check with today's job ads. And fifthly, maybe re-estimate every 6 months. So let's look at a short analogy to compare the CEA versus the IGEA. The Certified Energy Audit certification is like passing a well-known written driving test. You know the rules. The IGA is more like completing a road test and a trip plan. Now, say you've just got your license. You still need miles to become an expert driver. But you can show that you can actually drive because you've actually done an energy audit report and not just define what a stop sign is. Now, when pay is on the line, proof of driving really is important. So a final takeaway. Use the baselines and multipliers, not fixed dollars, so your estimate of your salary stays current. Treat implementation as your salary engine. Be an energy auditor who's always focused on getting your advice implemented. Reports don't get raises, results do. Choose credentials that fit your next steps. You just want a certification that is well recognized in many countries, but again, not all countries. Use the CEA. You can also use the IGA if you want applied evidence to show you actually can drive, to use an analogy again. But neither makes you an expert by itself. Projects and time do. So if you want structured practice and a reviewed of an energy audit that you've done, explore the investment grade energy audit at the link below the video in the description. If you prefer quick recognition, the CEA is a solid start. And thanks again to the AEE, the Association of Energy Engineers, for building the foundation of this field. Great. All the best with your getting an appropriate salary for your experience as an energy auditor. Thank you.